Great. Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me okay. And if you can't, or if I freeze in an awfully embarrassing position or something like that, just message Autumn so that we know that I'm not getting through properly. I thought I would start with a really informal introduction about me, who I am, what I do, just to give you some context, and then a little bit about the film. And then I'll get into the meat of my presentation after that. I am not an agricultural educator. I'm not a farmer. I am not an agricultural scientist. My background is in media literacy and in film education. So I'm sharing that as a caveat. Because I know a lot of folks probably have a deeper and broader background in agriculture than I do. But what I bring to the table is an understanding of how to use film and media in the classroom across disciplines. And I was really excited to get involved in film education, food evolution, for that reason. Because I think that food education, agricultural education, and science education can really benefit from the integration of film and media into the classroom. And oftentimes when I'm brought in on a film, the film has more of an alignment with social studies, sometimes English language arts, and I'm always excited when I can reach out to science and math teachers and teachers from other disciplines with a film. And this is an example of one such film. In terms of my relationship with the film, I was brought in by the production team to really create a grassroots educational engagement campaign. So I wasn't a part of the production team. I'm working with them as their educational consultant. And basically they said, we have this film, we think it'll be great for teachers, now what? And what I'm doing is working with folks like 4-H and other organizations to let community educators and classroom educators know about the film. We created a discussion guide and an educational resource guide, which I'm going to walk through a little bit later in this presentation, that was created specifically for teachers. And I'll walk you through that guide. And then at the very end of the presentation, I am going to put up a link where you can put in your information, and I'm going to try to get everyone a free copy of the film and a free copy of the guide for use with your students or your community, and we can talk a little bit. You'll be able to tell me in the Google form what your capacity is, whether you're a classroom educator or a community educator, or if you do after-school programming, and I'll be able to help you out with how the film might work in that capacity. Okay.
Hey, can you hold
yes.
on for just a second? Can you share your video feed? I have some people who say they can't see you.
My video is shared. Right now, all I see in my screen is you. It just says Autumn.
Okay, that's, Oh.
I can see myself.
Okay, so I have several people that see that they can see you fine, and then I have one person that says that they can't so far. So, okay.
So I think you're locked as speaker. So right now, if I'm on speaker view, I see you, even if I'm talking.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way for you to change that setting so that the speaker toggles. Maybe that's the problem.
Because I'm the host?
I think.
Okay.
Sure. You can instruct folks to click on gallery view at the top. That might help. But right now, when I'm speaking, I'm not showing up as speaker.
Okay.
I don't think
How
I
about
can.
now?
Hello? Yeah, I'm still seeing just you as speaker.
How about now?
Yeah, still just you.
Okay, because I just transferred you to the host position.
Oh, okay. So can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see me. I'm not sure.
How about now, Kyle? Can you see her now? Sorry for the technical difficulties.
No, it's good to get them done at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm happy to take the time to figure it out.
Okay. Well, nobody is saying that they can't see you still.
Let's see. All right. So should I? Do you think I should?
But all the questions are going to come to you now because you're the host.
Okay, I see. Oh, Kyle just messaged no. Hi, Kyle. Are you saying I can't talk and manage? So maybe you should, when you switched me, so maybe you should switch back to you being the host. And
okay, if you want, go up and click on my picture at the top, like above, and then there's like the little 3 dots. That's how you make me host. Yeah.
Yeah, so Autumn is saying, okay.
Okay, I'm host again. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Hopefully you can see any of the videos and things that she's sharing.
Okay, so let me continue. And if people, before I continue, can you just take a poll now that you're host again, Autumn, and just ask if who can see me and who can hear me? I don't want to start and have no one hearing or seeing. How is it now? Can everybody see me?
It seems like most can see you when you are talking, but if I'm talking, I take over. So,
right. So that's why.
Leave it at that. Hopefully, when you share your videos, everyone will be able to see. If not, they can go back and review later. I apologize for anyone who can't see the video right now.
When I start presenting again, Autumn, just mute yourself. I think that will help. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think I was just talking I just gave a little bit of a background on myself and what my relationship is with the film. I'm going to talk a little bit about the film, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the film, and then I want to at least show a trailer so we can talk about it a little bit. So the film itself is really looking at the way that the filmmakers like to frame the film is that it's an exploration of the use of the importance of the scientific method through the lens of one example of how that scientific method can be helpful, which is genetically modified farming versus organic farming, and how the public perception of GMOs has been shifted, and how it can be shifted back using the scientific method as an approach to that exploration. So it's really looking at one of the UN questions, which is how are we going to feed the growing population of the world, and then how the scientific method can be applied to that question around agricultural farming or agricultural science. Sorry, I'm distracted because now I want to make sure everyone can see me. I'm so sorry. But Autumn, I'm just seeing a black screen now. Can you just message me, Autumn, and let me know if you can still see me? Okay. So I'm going to ignore what I'm looking at and just keep talking. So it's taking the scientific method and applying it to both the general idea of information and how the general population, how students, how educators can help their students to be informed consumers of information using the approach of the scientific method, and then also looking at this question that the UN puts forward of how will we feed the world population moving forward, and taking that scientific method and then applying it to agricultural science. That was not a super fluent description, but that is basically what the film is about. And what I'd like to do now is show the trailer. I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to show the trailer now, and then I'll talk to you a little bit on the other side. Okay, so here we go.
The survival of our species has always depended on advances in agriculture. Climate change is going to scramble this, how are we going to feed the world today?
This is all about companies.
This is about money. This is about power.
It's much easier to sell fear than it is science. If you don't have food, then you're going to steal, you're going to kill someone.
So, how do we make the most informed decisions about how we feed ourselves? The three most terrifying letters in the English language are GMO. I wonder how many people really know what they are. I don't know.
I know it's bad.
Genetic engineering is a modern form of breeding. The goal is to add useful traits into food. I am concerned about some of the health issues related to GMOs. More cold, autism, susceptibility to hepatitis,
Cancer,
HIV. There's absolutely no proof to a health hazard.
Never trust one opinion. You look at the consensus of experts. I don't think the genetically modified organisms are dangerous. You're either going to be GMO or you're going to be organic. They cannot coexist.
If this is an organic planet we're going towards, you would think all the rainforest destroyed just to be the current population. This is something I'm going to look into.
People can say wild and crazy things. I trust the social media more than most medical doctors, more than the CDC, more than the FDA, more than the EPA. I don't need scientific study. Things like that.
We humans are wired to make our minds up, and that's it.
We make decisions based on our gut. When was the last time you changed your mind?
Our intentions were honorable. We're trying to protect the future of the planet and the health of our children. It begs the question, how do you know that GMOs are the enemy? What if we got it wrong? The good thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it. You see, that's
Okay. So that kind of gives you a sense of what the film is about. It's looking at the debate around GMOs and trying to debunk the popular perception of what a GMO is and what the impact that it has on both the individual consumers as well as the economy and the environment, and again the UN general goal of figuring out how to sustainably feed a growing population. It's a really, really interesting film. I think a lot of this information is like probably information that a lot of you already had, but there are many people who are not as well versed in agricultural science who are still confused, as you saw from that trailer, about what a GMO is and whether or not they're dangerous. And the film really looks at that debate, and it doesn't shy away from the gray areas. It doesn't shy away from looking at what the economic impact is and what the issues around companies, it's not just about health issues or even about environmental issues. It's also around economic and political issues. And so it really looks at all of that. And then it puts forward a strategy for taking in all the information and being able to use the scientific method as a way to kind of go through what you're hearing, what you're learning, what you're receiving, and figuring out, as Neil deGrasse Tyson said at the end, what's true, whether you like it or believe it or not. So in terms of how we're trying to get the film out right now, and this is kind of stepping away from the content and talking a little bit about what we're doing. Right now, the film is not available for DVD purchase for individuals. It's available as a download, a digital download off of iTunes, and it's available at a higher price point for a community purchase with a community public screening license, and as an institutional purchase for a organization, a university, a public library, that kind of a thing. And what the producers have done is, in that little window between when it's being available for institutional purchase and when it's being available for home video use, they've brought us on to create an opportunity that's unique for teachers. So they're saying to us, we want to make this available for educators. We're going to try to underwrite this for free. We want to do special screenings. We want to do educational programs like the one I'm doing now. We want educators to become aware of it. We want educators to engage with it. And we want to really make this a groundswell in the educational community, because we believe that this is an important conversation to be having in this community. And then we'll make it available for purchase later. So I'll talk a little bit about the film and about the materials we've created for it. I'm going to stop for questions, and then I'm going to give you guys a link so that you can get in touch with me, and I'm going to try to get everybody a copy who's interested, a copy of the film and the guide for free. Otherwise, you can download it off of iTunes, but most educators are a little shy of download just because there are a lot of firewall and bandwidth and buffering issues when you get into a school or into an educational setting, and nobody wants to deal with that when you're screening a film for a bunch of kids. Okay, so I'm going to take a few minutes now to walk through the guide. You saw the trailer. I'm sure that you guys have some questions or comments or thoughts having watched the trailer. I don't know if any of you have seen this film before, but I think when you see how we've sort of framed the educational resources, you might have some more questions, and I encourage you to please text your questions to Autumn. I'm eager to have a dialogue about the film and about the content. And I'd love to hear a little bit about what you are thinking, not just questions for me, but I'd love to know a little bit about what your work is and how you would imagine engaging with the content, how you would imagine maybe using this with your constituents, whether they be young people or a community, and then what issues you might anticipate, how it might work or might not work. I'd love to have a dialogue in that regard. So feel free to not only share questions, but also comments or concerns. I'd love to hear all of them. We're at the very beginning of our outreach, and your feedback will be helpful. Okay, I'm gonna now share my screen again, and this time I'm going to walk you through just a little bit of the resource that we created. So give me a second. And sharing. Okay. So this is our educational resource guide. I'm looking at it on Acrobat, so hopefully it is, it's not too small for you guys to really see. Let me hide my doc. Okay. So I don't have time to walk through every page. It's a long document, but I'm going to start just by going through the table of contents so you can see sort of what we have in here. And again, at the end of my presentation, I'll post a link so that you can potentially, get a copy of this if you're interested. So there's a little bit on how to use the guide. There's a comment from the director. There's a little bit of an overview of what our outreach coalition is, just kind of what I just described to you earlier, what we're doing and how we're doing our grassroots outreach, a little bit about the film. And then there's a dive into some of the key themes, and I'll scroll down to show you those in a minute, just to give kind of a sense of, before you watch the film, because it is very dense, there's a lot there, what the main issues are that we're looking at in the film. Then there's some screening guidelines. So some folks are going to want to potentially share the film in a classroom where they might want to show bits of it or all of it over the course of, 4 or 5 class periods. Some folks might just want to screen the film from beginning to end. So we have guidelines for showing the film where you would do an intro, do some pre-viewing conversation, and then screen the whole film. That's on pages 16 through 24. And then post-viewing activities. And then we have a mini unit where the film is broken down as a classroom resource. So that's on 16 is for if you want to screen the film in its entirety. And then 24 are procedural lesson plans, which I'll get to in a minute. The handouts, which I'll show you a few of. Questions for further discussion for folks who want to either do just a deeper dive or ongoing small group work. Those might be great for you guys depending on where your folks are in terms of their knowledge base. And then there's some more additional information, resources about the filmmakers and about IFT, because IFT is one of the filmmakers, one of the executive producers on the film. Okay, I'm going to scroll through how to use this guide. I don't think we need to get into that. I'll scroll slowly so you can get a sense of the look and feel of the film, of the document rather. So you can see what this is like. I'm going to skip over to 18 because that's where I want to kind of look at with you guys. Okay, so these are the previewing guidelines, and you can see that we really are trying to give everyone something that they can just use right out of the box. You can create a chart on the front in the front of the room. Here's a discussion prompt to start. What's one challenge that we're facing on a global scale? How would you look for answers to this challenge? And then you have a discussion. We're going into then, if you look at number 5, digging in a little bit to what's your preconceived notion, what do you know about GMOs going into the conversation. And you can see that it's a brief general discussion that prompts a thoughtful, informed viewing of the whole film. And then there are some post-viewing guidelines. Ask again by a show of hands, how do you feel about GMOs and why? Ask for volunteers from the pre-viewing discussion to explain what changed their minds. Discussion prompts for a whole group discussion. And, there's an opportunity, I'm just scrolling back for a minute, for viewers to continue using that chart as they view so that they can take notes. And then we're going into action steps. And this is just something I wanted to highlight for you because one of the things that we really want to do is get viewers to sort of answer the now what. So we are learning this information. Our thoughts have changed. Our attitudes have changed. How can we now change our behavior? And so we do give sort of action steps or longer term project ideas that can get people thinking now that my knowledge base has changed, how can my behaviors change? And these are just some action steps that students, adult learners can do in groups or individually to change their behaviors to align with their changed attitudes. And they all align with the film. There's examples. They all link back to examples in the film. Hosting a debate, designing the kitchen of the future, personal nutrition as it relates to science and technology, food fraud, you can see. Some of them are research-based, some of them are action-based. Okay, so here's the lessons that we created. And what we tried to do was create something that was cross-curricular. It's obviously very difficult to write lessons for every teacher across the board, across the country, rural and urban, English and science, but we tried. What we tried to do is create something that's modular so that if a teacher has one day and they just want to show 20 minutes of the film and do a lesson, they can do that. Or if a teacher wants to really set aside 6 days and do a little unit on the film, they can do that. We really tried to make it modular in that way, also cross-curricular, so it does work for a variety of teachers on a variety of levels. We've heard from some teachers that they think that this would work better for a science AP agriculture class, and then other teachers say they don't think it's for science, it's much better for English language arts. So we've tried to really hit we've tried to hit all of the of as much as we can, make it work. Okay, so you can see we've got the techniques and skills, the curriculum connections, keywords and phrases, requirements, both in terms of materials and prep, and time. It's a 6-period lesson, but again, it's modular, so you don't have to teach all of them. We have some sample standards alignments, both in ELA and literacy, as well as science, social studies, civics. For those of you who are interested in standards alignments. And then we go into the first day of procedures. And I just want to pause here for a minute so you can see that they are very modular. So, and very, again, right out of the box, user-friendly. Teachers don't have to do any additional research. Teachers don't have to do any additional work ahead of time, any prep. They can just use these lessons, copy the student handouts, and they're ready to go. This first lesson deals with correlation versus causation. And I'm not going to dig into every single lesson because we don't have the time, but it has kids thinking about the difference between correlation and causation, and then it links back to a 20-minute clip of the film. So this is conversation. There's a lot of work in small groups and pairs. Questions that you can use 1 or 2 or all, depending on the kids you're working with or the folks you're working with. And then there's a homework associated with every lesson. Again, I'm not gonna walk through every single lesson because we just don't have the time. I'm gonna skip now to just one of the handouts so that you can see what those look like, so you can get a sense of what the participants are doing. So you can see that we're really encouraging folks to look at the gray areas. We don't want people to walk away from this saying, never a GMO or always a GMO, but really looking at all of the impacts, environmental, health, economic, and looking at the competing interests and being able to make a decision for themselves. So this is just one example of a handout where we're asking people to really think independently and critically and analyze the information rather than just kind of throwing all of their eggs into one basket. We're asking folks to look at all the different stakeholders that they engage with in the film, writing them down at the bottom or on the back of the sheet, and then putting them on the Venn diagram on what their focus would be, what they're fighting for, what they're fighting against, and then figure out, you know, where the sweet spot is in terms of making choices, both policy choices as well as personal choices. And here's another example, influences and influencers. So we're looking at the film and the conversations that they're seeing in the film, and we're looking at, and I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit so you could see it maybe a little bit better. Let's see, let's go to 125. Okay. Across the top, you have economics, emotions, optics, and nuance. And across the bottom, you have activists, governments, scientists, consumers and families, and the ag industry. And they're looking at, we want them to, this is a sort of viewing chart based on the film Food Evolution and Conversations in Class. Complete the chart listing how each influence across the top affects each of the stakeholders on the left. So how do activists relate to economics? How do they relate to their own emotions, the perceptions and optics, and then nuance? You know, is there room for an activist to engage with nuance, or do they need to be black and white? And it goes down with all of these influencers, what their influences are. And again, you can see we're really trying to tease apart a very complicated issue and make it accessible to all viewers. So before I stop my screen share and take questions, I'm going to just really quickly, I'm going to give you guys a minute to formulate and share questions. And just really quickly, I'm going to put one more slide on the screen, which is just contact information. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to me ramble a little bit about what we're doing. I hope this has been interesting and thought-provoking. I hope it feels relevant. And I'm excited to work with each of you. If you copy down this link, foodevo.edu, it'll take you to a form. You can fill it out, and I'll get your contact information. And using that form, I will be able to both let you know about the availability of either a free digital download or a free DVD. I'll also be able to let you know about the availability of a free copy of the guide that I just walked you through. And if you're interested in having a community screening or a school screening, or something more along the lines of more folks than just a small group of kids after school or in the 4-H program or in a class, email me. Or if you have any other questions or thoughts or anything that pops up for you, you can email me directly. My email is kim@bigpictureeducational.com, and I can help you with screenings or any other questions that you have. So I'm just going to leave this up for one more second. Foodevo.edu, sorry, www.foodevo.edu is a link to the Google form. And my email address is kim@bigpictureeducational.com. And I will actually email this out to the group after our call so that you don't have to scramble to copy it down or worry if you lost it. Okay, I'm going to stop my share now. And I'm back. I hope everyone heard that. And I guess one question I have that Autumn sent out that I think is a great question is, where do you see yourself using this with your programs? I'm not sure if any other questions came in. I'll wait to hear from Autumn, or if Autumn or Sherry, if you guys have any questions.
Hey, so we were having some trouble with the link. It doesn't seem to be working.
Right. Now that I'm not sharing, let me go.
And we'll send all of this information out in the follow-up email after the workshop. So if we can't get it figured out right now, we will try to get the right one to you. Well, I had a couple people respond to what ways they were going to try to use the curriculum.
Okay.
One question was, what grade level is this most appropriate for age range?
So I'm going to come back to you and then try to figure out the link after that. I don't want to multitask and not
Yeah.
We wrote it with 8th to 12th grade. The lesson plans are for 8th to 12th grade. And that's a huge span. So what I really tried to do, and once you dig into the curriculum, I think you'll see that the questions kind of range from easier to more difficult. And the hope is that as educators look at this, they'll say, like, this question is beyond my kids, or this question is going to be too basic for my kids. And they'll pick the questions that are most relevant for their individual students. The film itself, I think, is really appropriate for university, from high, middle through high school and university and adult learners. It's, I found it very compelling, and most folks who watch it do. A lot of our community partners are doing screenings for adult learners. So in terms of the screening guidelines section, I think it's anyone above the age of 13. I think younger than that, you might lose them. And then in terms of the lessons, it's meant for high, middle through high school. And I think that if you're teaching an AP Ag class, that you'll be able to find content in there that will work for you. And if you're teaching, an 8th grade general science class, you'll be able to find stuff in there that will work for you too.
Great, thanks. That's what I was kind of getting the feel when you were explaining the program.
Yeah.
So we did have someone say that they thought a livestock workshop for their older youth would be really good. So we do workshops where we work on their project book work, or maybe doing showmanship. So this could be a type of, like, an addition or supplement to the workshops that they attend. I was thinking something to do in schools. There are a lot of school programs. They don't include agriculture. It's not really in the curriculum. They don't touch on it in a lot of schools, or it's not very prevalent. They might hit on it once, and then that's all you touch on it the entire time the students are in high school. And I know that that's been a big issue in the county that I'm in, and they're always seeking supplemental programming for that. So this would be something where I could do a school enrichment program and take in to the classroom and either, do one big program or go back and visit a couple times in the classroom as school enrichment. Also, I have an Ag Ambassadors program. So it's older 4-Hers who want to go out and help others understand the importance of agriculture. And so this is something that they could watch and have new knowledge gleaned from this to use and to share. So, and I haven't gotten any other additional questions apart from those.
Okay. I'm looking at the link right now. You're correct. It's not working.
Okay.
I'm gonna right now. I think I substituted out HTTP for www, and that was not smart. So I'm gonna, in the chat right now, I sent it to you. So
okay. I see. Yeah.
So and I apologize for that. I'll update the slide, and then I'll email it out to everybody. And you can share it via chat as well. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Here you go, everybody. Oh, well, I didn't send the nice pretty link. It just copied the full one, but yeah, this one's the right one. It just pulled up on my computer.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Yes, it's been my pleasure. It's really been my pleasure. I really appreciate you guys all making the time to listen, and I hope I get I hope you all reach out to me. I'm really eager to work with you guys. 4-H is a great partner for us. So please don't be shy.
All right. Thank you.